So, I'm outside right now. It's 11/22/2022, 1:35 p.m. I've got family coming over in a bit. I just got home, driving from college or whatever. Did my midterm and stuff, but it got me further thinking. On my ride home, I was just so bewildered and so fascinated at just, once again, how everything's so intricately interconnected. Everything is made up of tinier everythings. And what I mean by that, applying back to my main philosophy, contributing and relating and whatever to dualism, and how duality is prevalent everywhere, and how one thing cannot be that thing without a non-thing. It can't be that thing without its contrast. As soon as something exists, there is a state in which it is not existent. So the whole idea of that object exists, although as a superposition, where it either is or it isn't, and subjectively one is chosen. And so that applies back to binary as well. It's a 0 and a 1. It's off or on. It is or it isn't. It's everything or nothing. So I've already talked about this a lot of times in my previous recordings, especially the one I did that was about 2 hours long. But this is just makes me even further appreciate the architecture behind everything, essentially. Everything and nothing. Nothing and everything. The two are both equally as beautiful. Because life can be seen as everything. Everything filled with everything's made up by everything's tinier everythings, and still with that void of nothingness, which is a non-everything. And when you die, when you're gone, that is just as beautiful as life itself, because it is what permits life. It is what gives value, what gives a finite amount, what gives it subjectivity, and everything is that there is a non-everything. And it is necessary and is required for it to exist in the first place. And going off that logic, that means without everything, there's also no nothing. Nothing cannot exist without everything. It applies back to dualism, of course. Goes without saying. But it's just incredible how the greatest creation of all was just the concept of a something. And with that concept, that means with that something, there has to be a non-something, a thing. To create a thing is just so remarkable and incredible, because you can't even say it was created from nothing, because nothing cannot exist without something to be its contrast. It means that thing was created, and because it was created, there's a non-thing, a nothing. There's a thing and a nothing. And it gets me further thinking about the smallest unit of construction, the smallest unit of everything, not just within our universe, because even we may be within a simulation, and the simulators may be within another simulation, and again and again and again, and forever, an infinite loop, which I will never be able to ever prove or disprove. In fact, nothing can ever be truly proven or disproven, and nothing is objectively real or unreal or fake or whatever. It's all entirely subjective and based on to what I define it as. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of why it's constructed this way, is to give way to subjectivity, where there's no objective, there's no objectivity at all. And that's so unbelievably beautiful. It's so incredible how everything, all of this, can be made up tinier everythings. When you make that one thing, that means that one thing. If that one thing is all there is, the rest is the contrast of nothing, which is existent because there's a thing. It can be defined, and it can be labeled, shown as such, as a nothing, because there's a thing. That one thing is everything, meaning everything is just made up of tinier everythings. One is everything. 0 going off of what Gene Dawson says is God. It's incredible to think about, and I love it more than anything. It is something I will never stop being passionate about, and I never want to stop intertwining myself with and thinking about. Everything is intertwined. It's the infinite tree, like I talk about the peak of paradox, which is unreachable for good reason, and the seed, in which it stems from a singularity where neither is or isn't, but both at the same time. It applies to quantum mechanics, obviously, as well. I just can't get over how beautiful, how unbelievably beautiful that is. What a funny time for someone to start blowing leaves. Yeah, no, it's definitely picking that up. But you know, everything is beautiful, everyone is beautiful, everyone is everything, and nothing is what allows everything. $888-444. It also made me on my ride home, I was also thinking about just how beautiful of a number 4 is as well. Where it's up, down, left, right, contrasting sides, dualism, and yet both interconnected through that one line in the top left, or whatever, drawing it, making the number. The fact that 4 represents luck to us, well, our perception of luck is entirely subjective, and nothing is objective in which we think we can even have a control over everything. But the real way to get control is to accept that you have no control whatsoever. That's how you get real control. Dualism, yet again, everything and nothing. Man, they really gotta blow the leaves when I'm trying to fucking dump my psyche out in a verbal format. Whatever. I'll talk more about this some other time. I just really wanted to get this said and out there, because I feel like if everyone was able to think in such a way, it'd be so beneficial. But of course, that will never be the case, and for good reason, because of that fundamental subjectivity that is built into the system, in which nobody will ever likely think the exact same, because otherwise they're one in the same, and that does not define an everyone. That defines a one, not everyone, not a multitude of ones. It's the whole point. So going off that logic furthermore, I don't really know what I expect to get out of saying this. Maybe it's to live forever beyond my death, which I already know. Everyone lives forever. Everything is everything all at once and never, because it is within a confined box. And within that confined box, there's of course time which we move across. Time is not constant, but that doesn't matter. Same with any of the other dimensions. Everything viewed outside of it, separate from time itself, everything is forever and never, in every state, ever, but no state at all. You get the idea. That means everything and everyone exists forever and never. And our subjectivity, our view into this reality, a long time, we have a subjective view of it all, and we're able to depict the difference from one instant to another, because we are within the system. That's beautiful too. So going off that logic, it makes no sense for me to try and live forever through memory, even though I know I will be existent forever in memory, even when there is no one left to remember. The same goes for anybody ever. I think it's probably just built into my primitive instincts to want to be able to survive. That's what we all do anyways. It's to survive. It's to keep living. It's to keep being to be everything. To be everything in opposition to the nothingness. And that is so beautiful. And it's a song sung only once and never again. But regardless, I want to put this out there for the sake of the people who know me as well, in case if anything were to ever happen to me, because I know that there is no control, essentially, and through understanding and accepting that I have no control, I have control. And that is why I always prepare as if I will die any second, because that is quite literally true. I can die anytime. And I have no idea when it's going to happen, but when it does happen, and I return to the nothingness, in which I would not have it any other way, and I will die with a million words left in my mouth like any other person, in which that is so beautiful. And the cycle repeats once more. The tree, infinite, everything, subjectivity. The list goes on perpetually. You already understand where I stand with that, but I am interconnected with all of those I love and who love me and who has ever interacted with me, and people have never even spoken with me, and people I will never know of, and they will never know of me in any instant, because everything is interconnected. Every tiny little thing is what makes up everything. Everything made up of everything's size, scale, shininess, economic value, none of that matters. Everything is equal in value, objectively. But we are able to draw the lines because we have that subjectivity built into the system, which is beautiful in its own right. Good and bad, beyond good and evil. All of it. I do this for everyone. Not just those I know, but for everyone, for I am intertwined with everyone. I am everyone, everyone is me. All is one, one is all. Zero is God, as Gene Dawson would put it. He's a genius, by the way. I love his stuff. Incredible artist. But yeah, I do this because I guess I love everyone. I do not see myself as a savior. And if this message was ever to get out, and I always think about this sometimes, as I like to think about obviously every single possibility, to keep it as open-minded as possible and to have control by knowing I have no control, by accepting I have no control in every single possible scenario, which includes the possibility that even perhaps during my life or after death, my message gets out there. And if it's cold outside right now, but that's okay. If it's related back to me, anybody, anyone, everyone appeals, relates, whatever, to what I'm saying. If you worship me as some savior, that is the complete opposite of my intentions and what I am saying, what I mean, what my message means. That means you do not understand what I'm talking about. Which I say, go back and try again. And keep asking why. And when you get an answer, ask why again, and why, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, until you get to the sum. Not the sum, you get to the source of it all. The smallest digits, the smallest units possible. And from there, the tree grows and blossoms. Understand it all and accept your role in the system. All of it. Whatever. I'm kind of just spitting bullshit right now. Not really, I'm not. I'm trying to make out words of what I mean and what I intend, but of course my words will never be perfect, hence why I say I will die with a million words left in my mouth, because I will never be able to perfectly relay my message and my understanding, which is for misinterpretation. Which is why it's up to you and your responsibility to be able to interpret this in as open-minded of a way as possible, so you do not give in to bias and polarization, which is what makes us human and is an imperfection. But that doesn't mean it cannot be controlled. And furthermore, do not worship what I am, who I am, me. Do not worship me. If anything, I am just the messenger. The whole point is the message. The whole idea is the message. And I'm not the first one to come up with it. It's been said about throughout all history, Jungian archetypes and whatnot. All of it correlates and interconnects and corresponds with one another. It's all strung together in this big web. And I'm sure other people have reached this conclusion of sorts, maybe not the exact same analogies, but it's the same idea, the same message, the same message. That's all that really matters. I guess what really matters, is what you determine what really matters. Once again, it's all subjective, so I'm not one to say because nothing can be proven or disproven ever, but you get the idea. But anyways, that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for listening. I love you. Goodbye.